Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for getting up this morning and joining us on our Celebrating Women event. I'm really, really excited for this one because, it's Youth Month and we're celebrating, somebody who's done so incredibly well in her very young age. So really excited for her to be sharing her journey with us. But also to have the young people, the young Valley-Edians who are here to hear her story. I think we always have either myself or Uncle Vic, Tsecho and everybody else, just speaking and telling, almost preaching, but when you hear somebody who has actually gone through this journey and has done incredibly well, I think it's, it's inspiring to hear that. Thank you. I will ask that, you mute yourself, please. And also we love to see faces here at Valour. A big part of this is all about the energy. So, our guest has taken our time to be here. Let's see your beautiful faces. Even if you are in your pajamas, we'll forgive you. Hi, Tsecho. Hi, Tsecho. So thank you. It's so great to see everybody. And I know we didn't have one last month, just FYI, for those who've been with us for a long time since we started this event. We used to have it on a monthly basis, but we are now going to have it every second month. We also have the Men of Value event, which you're more than welcome to attend as well. We always have men on this event, and us ladies are also welcome to join that event. So they will intertwine. We'll have Celebrating Women this month. Next month, it will be Men of Value, and so forth and so forth. So thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to introduce our guest, who also happens to be a patron at Valour. I think Vic will speak a little bit more later. So really, really excited to hear that because she's also a patron, one of the first patrons that we've had at Valour. So our guest for today is Simnikiwe Thutha, who is a client find manager on the institutional distribution division. She is a institutional business development professional with within investment management. She is currently a client find manager at Momentum Investment. Prior to that, she was an institutional business development manager at ABSA Asset Management. And before that, also into development management. She started her career at Pan-African Graduate Development Program, where she was a segment specialist at ABSA Retail Business Bank. She was then appointed as a business development consultant at ABSA Wealth Investment Management and Insurance. Simnikiwe holds an MBA from Wits Business School and a PhD in Economics, Statistics, and BCom Honors from Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. She has a postgraduate diploma in financial planning from the University of Free State. Simnikiwe is ambitious, self-motivated, and hardworking individual. Her ability to develop solid relationships with multicultural stakeholders at all levels enables her to work well with her people. She has a passion for learning and empowering others through mentorship, which makes sense why she's a patron at Valour. So I'm really, really excited. She'll have to explain how she did all these qualifications in such a short period. I mean, is there double of you or something, Yana? Please, you need to explain this to us, because how is it that you've managed to do so much in such a short period of time? So I'm going to welcome Simi. Simi, do you want to just say hi to everyone this morning and introduce yourself? I will ask again, please mute yourself. Tsecho, Uncle Vic, if you're on the other side and you're able to mute others, please do so.
Great. Thank you, Rafilwe, and thank you to Valour for the opportunity to be here. I'm quite excited. I said to Vic that I've been preparing to be a speaker on Valour, so I'm happy to be here and excited to be here. And just to answer your question around when did I get it done, I got it done while I was working. So I'm from Mthatha, Kasakal, and I'm 30 at the moment, turning 31 in August. And I've always had it in me to build and grow myself, and always trying to be a better version of myself. So there's no point in my life where I didn't want to learn. So to your question around how did I get it all done, from the time I started working, I continued studying. So I did my undergrad and my postgrad, and post that I've been working. It's only the past, I think, 2 years where I actually haven't been studying, and it's a welcome relief, and I'm really enjoying life and enjoying where I am in my life.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really great to hear that, because I often get the question as well as to, in my space of, in my line of work, managing a learnership project program, everybody wants to either Milan, can you please mute yourself? So it's great to hear, how you're saying you've managed to do all of this while getting your work experience as well, because that is important. I find that I get people applying for jobs with their PhD, and I'm like, this is a learnership and you have a PhD. You should have maybe get the work experience and then, study, because that's something that's possible. So, you mentioned that there's never been a point in your life where you didn't want to learn. So I want to start for you. Can you recall, exactly when it started? So, I mean, for me, when I recall just how everything that's led to where I am, there's a pivotal moment, when I was 5 years old, that shifted my mindset, right? So what was that for you? And growing up, what was your motivation and your drive as well to achieving, this, what you've achieved right now? Because, I mean, there are temptations, you're getting your teen years, or before get up to school, you just want to watch cartoons. In your teen years, you want to go party. In varsity, you want to go party. There's boys and girls and all of that. What was your thing that kept you going and motivated?
So that's a simple one for me, because I role model my parents, and both of them at that. So my dad was a taxi driver, and before my eyes, he became a doctor. And my mom was a teacher, but I've never seen someone who takes their work and what they do so seriously. So I grew up in an environment and they started to build businesses, and I sort of saw this every single day, where people were waking up and making a difference and a change in people's lives. But more than that, transforming themselves and becoming better. So every time when I look back from where I was to where I am, I always think, well, what else could I be doing? Because if I think of even the time before that, both my grandfathers from either end were actually taxi drivers, and they managed to produce children that turned out to be so much more. So I always hold myself to a very high standard. I make time. There is temptation, I won't lie, and I give myself the space to enjoy my life. And I always say, even to people that I interact with, especially to my nieces and people younger than me, go out, have fun, but also know that in that you develop and build yourself, because there's nothing wrong with having fun. There's nothing lost in enjoying yourself. I think the opportunity is that in everything that you do, you grow and you learn from it, and you take from it your surroundings, and what I mean by that is I often look around me and I say, okay, what is the next person doing? And how can I then be better? And I saw that from myself from a very young age. Like I say, my dad was a taxi driver. He built himself with the help of our family to become a doctor. He was studying, he used to study. And I recall this because it happened while I was alive, He used to pretend like he's reading a newspaper, and then he had like his textbook in front of him while waiting at the taxi rank. And he then built his business. His first surgery was actually by the taxi rank, and he built another one, and he had one at the back of the house. So when I look at that and I see the work ethic and the effort that goes into that, and my parents still had fun, so I look at that and I think, well, what more, what else would I be doing? I have no option but to actually be set up to do better, so that's where I draw my inspiration, and I think that's where I learned to become a learner in life.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. I think it's so important. We take for granted the sort of upbringing that one comes from, and the sort of inspiration and what you get to see around you, right? What our parents are doing, we model that as children, and the environment. So it's really, really important to have that. And I think for those of us who do have that, should be, not take it for granted, but actually be very grateful for that. So, you mentioned that it is important to actually be focused in your studies and your work, but also have fun, right? I think a lot of times, we spoke about this, how we were just chasing and chasing and chasing, and, to what end, actually. So I want to, my next question is, what would you say are the ingredients the ingredients that have gone into making you who you are today, right? So for me, I would say what is hard work meeting opportunity, and that is what we know as luck, right? So a lot of times, I'd say I've been so lucky to have this and gotten this scholarship and met these people, but in actual sense, it's hard work, right? Because when that opportunity comes, you need to meet it and match it. And that is what luck really is all about. So what would you say are those ingredients for you?
So it's strange because I was actually having this conversation with my niece. She's actually on the call, and we were talking, and she sent me like a note saying that everything has to do with luck. And I then said, well, I don't quite believe that it's about luck. I think it's more about timing. I think it's more about self-belief, and also thinking at every turn outside of what you know and who you are. So for me, it's working hard to ensure that when that opportunity and when the time is right, no matter what that looks like, you're ready, and you better work hard to get yourself ready, so that when you're having the conversation with the person who could change your life, you're ready for it. And we also take for granted the little things that build up, to our successes and to our wins in life and to our victories. It's a conversation with a friend who knows someone who could connect you. And for me, for example, I work in a space of relationships, and you need to build those relationships to achieve your outcomes. You can't do anything without them. So you start to see, or what my career has done is showed me the importance of relationships and the power of the people around you and what those people can do for you and elevate you. So I think if we're talking about ingredients, I think definitely hard work. There's no substitute for that. And there's no substitute for excellence, in my view. I think you constantly need to produce the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like. And I think in that way, opportunity is created. You need to speak up. I think you need to talk around what it is that you want, even sometimes when you don't know what you want. Say what you're thinking, the kind of thing that you want. It may not even be something that is existing, but by talking about it, by putting it out there to people, affirming it, you actually open up the opportunities that you speak of, and the luck sort of presents itself, because you've then prepared yourself for it. Because some people are lucky, and I say this, some people are lucky in that they come from really well-off backgrounds, and they have everything set out for them, but that doesn't guarantee their success. So, and then there's someone else who comes from the worst circumstances, and they come up better, and it's because of that hard work that you put into making yourself a better version of that, whatever it looks like, whatever it seems. And just to add or labor on that, I think, for example, COVID, or this pandemic that we're in, has actually opened up so much opportunity. So there's great loss that is associated with COVID. But if I look at the different channels that have opened up, we're sitting in a room now and we're able to reach people from their cell phones. Who would have thought that? We thought there was no substitute for human interaction. And Second to that, we've seen how much doctors are actually needed, in this space. There's so much more. I've seen how people have become, you're cooking on Instagram, and now suddenly you've got a paid partnership with a corporate that we wouldn't have even thanked it. Elsa is a girl who was sitting on her Instagram sharing jokes and laughing. Right. Now she's in partnership with Valentino.
Right.
Our wild dreams are coming true in even the worst circumstances. So I really believe that if we just set ourselves up for the best, then the rest, becomes easy, in my view. And yeah, that's the thing for me. It's just always preparing ourselves for that opportunity, for that luck, for that thing, for that conversation. You never know what will come out of anything, even how I think I probably applied for my first role only, in the graduate program. And even then I went there with an open mind. I said I'm mobile. Ended up in Nelspruit because I said I was mobile. That was not part of my plan. But there, and I was sitting and we were working with tellers. I was in a bank and I was working with tellers and I was working with consultants. And there I got there and I told myself, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to pretend like it's the best thing, even if at that point in time I didn't believe it. But
yeah,
that actually put me up for so much, because in that program, I ended up in a financial advisor's office. And that's how I got into financial services. Is I end up in the financial advisor's office, learning from him. And then someone came into the room and said, "Hey, what are you doing here? You should be in Joburg. You just got so much energy." And I said, "Yes, I want to be in Joburg. I want to be in Joburg." And he said, "Well, let me get you in touch with people." And he set up interviews for me. And with that experience, and in those, while I was learning about the teller, then I was able to sit with an advisor in a bank and sell my product to them, because I understood the value chain inside the bank, yeah. And then the next opportunity came, and I think, like I said, the last time I applied for a role where I was sitting and I was applying for a role was that first job. Everything else was just being prepared. Someone seeing you, and the seriousness that you take everything that you do with, and wanting to put you on. So I think just prepare for the opportunity, give it your best, show up with everything, the tiniest thing. Please, we need to show up and give it our best. And I think the world then opens up.
Absolutely. It's amazing that you make that comment, because just this morning about 10 o'clock, I received a message on LinkedIn from one of the graduates that I coached when I first started doing coaching. And he was saying to me, what you said to me really stuck with me. And I said, you need to be a sponge. You're in this program, you need to think of yourself as a sponge and soak everything up. And he was saying to me, 2 years later, what you said to me is still very much relevant in my life. And I actually saw his LinkedIn, the title that he's been promoted to senior. So I was like, now look at that. In 2 years, this person has actually even gone up. So you really need to show up, and the willingness to learn is very important. I'm going to ask, I see there's still a few people who are not muted. We want to hear everything that Simni's saying, please.
Lusanda.
So can I ask Lusanda Petu, I think? Not sure who else is not muted, so please just check. I think Tandega. Yes, please just mute yourself. The other thing is we are also live on Facebook right now, so tell your friends, tell your family, they want your little sisters, your little brothers, that they want to hear the story. You don't want to miss it. We're live on Facebook, so just you can just reshare the Facebook link. And I'll ask if Josh is on the call to just share our details, or Tefo as well to share our details. So coming back to you, Simni, you mentioned relationships, your line of work, relationships are very important. And then also, the first, the financial advisor that you met when you were in Nelspruit, who then connected you with people in Joburg. I think a lot of times, right, young people, we come across those people or those situations where somebody says, here's my business card, reach out to me. Or you come into the workplace, the new company, and you get introduced to the VP or the MD, whatever it is, and they say, my door's always open. But people don't take, they don't take that seriously. They don't take that business card and call that person to set up, a coffee or whatever the case is, right? So, and you're very passionate about mentorship. I mentioned that when I was reading your bio. Can you just tell us, what role, number one, has mentorship played in your success in your career? Can you recall some people who've made a really huge impact in your life, and also how are you paying it forward as well?
Okay, so I love and believe in mentorship, and I believe it from two sides, right? There's the receiving of it and there's the giving of it. And if I think of my entire life, I've always been mentored, indirectly and directly. And I just recall my first experience of mentorship where I was conscious of it was actually when I was in varsity and I was doing economics and statistics, and I thought I wanted to be, an economist. And, at the time I thought that was the thing that I wanted to be. And I reached out to my brother and I said to him, well, this is what I want. And he said, oh, I actually have a friend of mine who's an economist. He's Simnikiwe. So he was my brother's friend, or he is my brother's friend. And I started interacting with him. I reached out to him and I took ownership of that relationship because I was the one who wanted to benefit from that relationship. And he used to sit, we used to take courses. He was in Joburg, I was in Port Elizabeth. And every time like there's a budget speech, he used to say, okay, well, write something down for me and tell me what it is that you think about it. Give me your views, and I'd write. And that's where, for example, I would have learned to write. I've also experienced mentorship in the workplace where, like, I remember my first and second boss took on the role of mentorship. They weren't even conscious of it because they were just, just working to build someone that they believed had a bit of potential. But over and above that, I've been very fortunate, and it could be because I also look for it and I seek it in all my interactions to see what it is that I can gain and learn from the people around me. I often like to look up, and some of my mentors are here. Letsaho, Sneh, Mary is here, and they have been the women in my life who I've reached out to say, well, I would like to do some of the things that you're doing. I see value in the work that you're doing. And I've taken ownership of those relationships and have driven the conversations to get the outcome that I want to achieve. Now, I understand that you're not always going to know what it is that you want, right? And that's also fine. But if we actually make use of those relationships and people's experiences to sort of hone and guide our path, then we're actually better off. And we sponge from those people. And then we take that and we take it to the next person. We take it to a friend. We take it to a friend of a friend, or a friend's sister, or my helper's daughter, or my helper's daughter's friend. And that's how, for me, the circle becomes bigger. And that's how you make a change. And I'm saying this as a real life experience for me, where I have gone through mentorship programs, and I've been a mentor to people. And when an opportunity came, those are the people that came to mind, my mentees. If someone says, okay, I'm looking for a business analyst, well, I know one, and I can put them out there because I've had that interaction. And I find that if we actually build our circles and we create space to leverage off each other, and to give mentorship to other people, we get an opportunity to also put each other on, because people work with people they know.
Yep.
And mentorship creates that scenario It creates that space, it creaes that opportunity. So to the question, to follow on as to the conversation of luck, that's the luck that you create in those spaces. And again, you show up and you prepare, and in those conversations you make yourself memorable. And I also think that like I said, not everyone comes from the best place, but I used to always, like, I grew up and my mom used to instill such confidence in me, you can do it, you're going to do it. And nothing was impossible, nothing is out of your reach. And I didn't even know, I grew up in a home full of people, so always socializing, and I didn't know that socializing can actually be built to achieve great outcomes. I'm learning that relationships and that socializing is actually a talent, a skill that you can get to build outcomes. And that's the value that you can add to people, and you can teach people. And there's things that we don't learn at school. We go to school and they teach you maths, they teach you science, and this is the only thing. But with mentorship, we get to open our minds. You get to see how other people think, and over and above that, you get to question and reflect and look at yourself and say, well, what am I doing? And I find that when I mentor students as well, like when I mentor other people, I learn a lot about myself, and I get to help other people. And I get to so if someone is in matric but they don't have funding, and I have I have friends in corporate that can create an opportunity, I go to my friends and I knock and I say, I've got someone here, let's find them a bursary, because you're in the space that, and suddenly now someone's going to varsity because you've been able to tap into your network. So that's just a fraction of what mentorship can do for yourself and for everyone around you. And I don't think that we talk about it enough. I don't think that we create enough mentorship opportunities, and it comes in a small interaction. It comes in programs, in specialized programs or programs that are put in place. It comes in through work, and it just, there's always an opportunity. And I experience mentorship from my brothers, from my friends. I'm always inspired by like the people around me, because they're always just pushing outside of themselves, and I'm thinking, well, geez, I need to do better, So it also helps. And I think mentorship also has a lot to do with role modeling, especially for young Black children and young Black females. Once they start to see, when you look up and you see someone who is doing what you're doing, or someone who comes from the same scenario as you and has gotten out of it and has been able to sort of create hope for someone else, then you build and you grow and you want to become better. So I think that we all need to take it upon ourselves to mentor people, no matter what it takes, even if it's just the one person, because I think it can make the world of difference. And also to hold our then mentees accountable to the next person, to say, well, then you go teach maths, because you've got a skill that you're good at maths or accounting, whatever it is that you can do, and give it to the next person, because you become hope and you also draw from the next person's strengths. And it also strengthens your relationship, and it also gets you thinking outside of the world that you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think for me, the big thing, right, is, and this is something that we speak a lot about at Valour, intention, right? So being intentional about what it is. So whether you are the mentee, somebody who's looking for a mentor, if you get into a graduate program, if you get into a learnership program, or you're at university, or you just entered into a company, you need to set an intention as to what is it that I want to achieve. Number one, what is it that I'm hoping to achieve, my goals, who can help me? So identifying that individual, right? One thing I always do is, I look at, if there's an event that you've been, if there's an event like LinkedIn, you can see who's attending events, for example. I go and I look at those people, like who are they? And I research, what do they do? Who do I actually want to connect with after this event, or, whatever it is. So right now, for example, you're in this Zoom call, there's 32 people, right? What I would be doing, and I know Oslitse was also doing this, is going through people's LinkedIn, and checking, because that's how you build the connections. And then you take the conversation further to say, hey, I saw you at that event, that's something that you have in common right now, and so setting that intention. But I think it's really young people who need to come to the party as well, and take it upon themselves. When we say, yes, I do, when we say, the door is open, my door's always open. I mean, I don't know how many times I say this at work, that my door's always open. If you need to reach out for whatever reason, reach out, I'm here. So when somebody says they actually just say that for the sake of saying it. So take the courage to go out there and reach out to that person and be intentional about what it is that you want. Because the thing about mentorship that we don't talk about is it's a two-way street, right? So for Simni to be spending 20 minutes or 30 minutes of her time, mentoring you, there needs to be it needs to be a two-way street as well there. So, going to my next question, right? So we've mentioned, I think we made a big deal about your age, or I made a big deal because when we were doing this, and Uncle Vic said, oh, it's under the age of 30. I was like, what? 30? Oh, I have 3 more years to go. That's a lot of pressure. I'm not doing the most. I need to catch up and all of that. But I calm myself down, because everybody has their own journey to walk, and this is my path that I'm on right now. But for you, being you're probably one of the youngest people always in the boardroom, at work, or even in networking settings and so forth. Do you ever get the imposter syndrome, and how do you deal with that?
As you were talking, just to start there, you mentioned how we need to be intentional, and I completely agree with you, right? But I also think that sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to know, especially as young people, to know what we want, and we have this. We need to know, and I think that we miss the opportunity of not knowing, where we're going, or what we're doing, and we don't leverage off our mentors enough to provide that guidance and that space. So sometimes it's good to go to someone and say, well, I'd like to speak to you. You reflect, or you show to me some things there's some things about you that I like, ABC, but I don't know what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to navigate my life, and I don't know where I'm going, and then use that, because you don't always have to know, what you want, because in my view, it always turns out quite differently, and interestingly so, so just to add on to that, or to bite onto that, and then to your question around the imposter syndrome, absolutely not. I don't at this point in my life have that. And that is simply because I am honest with myself around what I do know and what I don't know. And I always see that gap as an opportunity for me to learn. It's not for me to know everything in the world. It's not for me to be the sharpest person, in the room. But I can gain the most, or I can gain the most when I open myself up and say, well, I do know this, but I don't know this. And if I'm sitting in a meeting and people are talking about something that I don't understand, if it's imperative for me to be able to contribute to the conversation at that point in time, then I pick up my hand and say, please explain ABC to me. And if it's not, then I go on afterwards and I try to find out, and I see that as an opportunity to learn and grow. I think the youth especially is so hard on themselves to know everything. We don't know everything. You can't know everything. but you need to always see an opportunity to learn and grow. And I always see that gap between my knowledge and my sort of or incompetence, and I don't want to call it that, but as a gap to grow and learn. And also I leverage off the people around me. So I don't have every skill. There's no world where I have every skill. So I will look up and say, well, this person should know this. And also as a young person, you have so much to add to a room. You know, you have that innocence and that ability to ask the dumbest questions with no one, you know, judging you for it. So why not use that opportunity to take in as much as possible, but also to add and create a diverse space in that boardroom, in the conversation. A simple thing like, I think last year I was somewhere and people were talking about soccer, you know, and I was like, oh well, I see soccer every day on the TV. I used to watch it. I sort of lost track of it at some point, and now I don't know what's going on, you know. And there was a conversation happening, and I said to my brother this year, I'm going to learn how, I'm going to watch soccer because I want to be able to contribute even to that kind of conversation, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's that simple with everything, you know. Something that you have interest in, and you know, I might watch and find that it doesn't interest me, and that's fine. But I'm better off for having tried and learned. And I think that with every single thing, you pick up your hand, say, I don't know, you communicate, and you say, I'm trying to understand this, please explain this to me. Or you write it down. If you're too shy, you write it down, you ask later, you know, when you have a session with someone, or you Google, you've got your phone right on you. Why aren't we using that effectively, you know? So I don't suffer from imposter syndrome at this point in my life. Maybe when we speak in 10 years' time, I might say, yes, I do. But currently, no, I am growing and learning and absorbing as much as I can, and making the most out of every single interaction, no matter what. We could be having tea and I will suck you dry. You know?
No, I think that is such a powerful way to look at life, though. And for me, I certainly have just had an aha moment in this conversation, because I am one of those people who have, you know, a desire or a need to know everything. And actually, I won't know everything. So I think, you know, I think it's very honest of you and very courageous of you to say, I don't know, I don't have all the skills, I don't know. And I'm going to walk into that room, and it's okay if I don't know. All I need to do is actually learn, you know. I think the imposter syndrome, you're right, and saying it does stem from that, oh, because I don't know, I don't belong here, you know. And obviously you're not gonna always know everything or have every skill. And also the other thing that we don't take into consideration is that you're invited to that table for a reason, because you do have something to contribute. You know, you won't contribute to every conversation, but you do have something to contribute. So I just had an aha moment. Thank you for that. We have a question from the chat, and please, everyone, you're more than welcome to put your questions on the chat. Matsidiso would like to know, how would you advise an introvert to build a network?
Okay, so I'm super extroverted, as I'm sure you've all picked up. So I won't be speaking from the place, or I won't be advising from a place of an extrovert, because I'm extroverted through and through. It's who I am. But I think the gift or the value that extroverts have is the ability to draw one-on-one. You know, I am very forward, and I walk into a room and I talk, and I've had to learn to sort of shy away and to keep quiet so that I can absorb and listen. So it's something that I've had to learn. So I think an extrovert, or an introvert rather, needs to take the time to see where they can actually build meaningful networks through one-on-one interactions, and try extract from those one-on-one interactions as much as they can. So they might not be the biggest talker, right? But they have the ability to absorb and take in a lot, and you use that to your advantage. And I also think it's got a lot to do with self-awareness. So if you know that so like I say, for me, I know that I'm extroverted and I like to talk. So I have to learn to be quiet and listen, because there's also value in that.
Yes.
And I think that's where you sort of draw your strengths, and you learn and say, well, as a person, this is who I am, this is what I can offer, and this is what I can take in, but I then have to go outside of myself to do something different. If talking in that moment, or being extroverted in that moment, is what will help you achieve your outcome, go out and do it, and then go back into your corner, and we sort of need to just learn to adapt and be multi-skilled people and multiverted people, call it that, and sort of adapt to where you are. Okay, so sometimes you need to keep quiet, sometimes you need to talk, and for different seasons in your life, those things mean different things. So my advice to you, Tsidi, is to really just take the time to learn yourself, and then see that from that skill, what can you extract, and what you can do to build those relationships, but also maximize on your introversion. So draw those one-on-one interactions, listen, absorb, sponge, because that's what you can do. And I think, be confident in being introverted. There's no better, all extroverts say it's always better to be an extrovert than introverts, believe but I think there's space for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want us to chat about, it's Youth Month, and the youth of South Africa are facing the most right now with we've had COVID, and everybody obviously has been impacted by COVID from a wellness, mental health is at its highest right now, and then we also have youth unemployment. There's just so many cards are not dealt for us right now as the youth of South Africa, right? So I want to, for Musad, what do you think? How does a young person at home right now, who's listening in right now, unemployed, have a degree, they did the right thing, they studied, they did well, they went to university, but because of the current state of our economy and everything, they're not, there isn't much going on for them. So what do you say to that person? How can they change it for themselves? Take ownership and say, well, I'm gonna stop waiting for the government to hand it to me, or for labor to create jobs, or whatever the case is. How do they change it for themselves? Because clearly nobody's here to save us.
Literally. So I think I'll start on the first thing. So you mentioned mental health. So I think the best thing that's come out of this new world that we live in, where we talk about how we feel, and everyone is on Twitter, everyone's on social media talking about their feelings, it's sort of, for me, created a great opportunity for growth. And what I mean by that is, a lot of the people before us have been operating in a very dysfunctional mindsets, where you're just going forward and you're going on, and you're not acknowledging the space that you're in mentally, and you're not. So I think there's this wave of awareness of mental health is going to elevate our generation, and is going to, well, if we deal it, that is, and if we use this knowledge of it to become better and more self-aware, and actually to work on those issues that we've been dealt. Okay, so I think, just as a start, I'm a big advocate for therapy. I'm a big advocate for counseling, speaking to other people. Let's talk about how we feel. Let's talk about what we're thinking. And what you find is that if you're sitting outside of yourself, and I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you, well, I struggled with A, B, C, D, and you also went through the same thing, then suddenly I don't sit in that corner and expect, the world to change for me. Which then goes on to your next question around, well, what does someone who's unemployed, who's a graduate, who is waiting for an opportunity, what do they do? I think, and I am not in that situation, so I'm speaking not from experience, but from the adversity that I've experienced in my life that has helped me, grow and has sort of been I want to say a parachute for every opportunity. I think for that person is to, first of all, believe in self. I think it starts and ends there. Like I said, I was fortunate that I grew up, with parents, especially my mom. She used to feed it into my head. There's nothing that is, out of your reach. So I think for me, what has helped me through anything is the belief in self. I believe in my ability. I believe in what I have to offer. I believe in my ability to learn and grow. So there's nothing that I believe I can't do. And I visualize it and I think about it and I plan for it. And I look at every single thing as if it's possible. So you can, and you can put me in any situation and I will do my best to make the most out of it. So I think the first thing is just belief in self. The second thing is to believe that nothing is possible. My mom always used to say, that means like a solution will present itself.
Yeah.
And so you go. I remember when I was doing my MBA, I didn't have funding. The company that I was working for at the time promised that they would pay for my fees, and then closer to the time, they said, well, no, we don't have the money. We don't pay for MBAs for people your age, it's only for people who are more senior. And I remember thinking, well, I'm still going to do it anyway. I don't know how, I don't have the money, and damn, I'm going to do it. And I can't tell you now where I got that deposit. I know at some point, my brother, contributed to my school fees. I'm very grateful to him. And at the same time, I also got retrenched, while doing my MBA from that company. And at the same time, my mom had cancer and she was sick, and I was writing exams and I was unemployed, but what I did with that time is I spent every single evening preparing for interviews or looking for work. I used to always literally everything. I was looking for opportunities everywhere. I was going for 5 interviews a day, and at night I was studying for exams. And because life was carrying on in between the hospital visits, in between life, I just knew that a solution will present itself, and that's why I think that in our minds, in every situation that we're in, we really need to believe that we're the anomaly, we're the exception, we're the ones who are going to do it. Even if you're looking around you and it's looking really dark, I think to get yourself out of it, to be able to identify that opportunity, to be able to see that luck, you need to believe it, and you need to know that nothing is out of your reach. I'll make the example of Elsa again. She was sitting on her phone, laughing, and now, she is, she's doing amazing things. And that thing for me, out of any adversity, if you have a high sense of belief and not arrogance, but belief, if you believe that anything is possible, it gives you an opportunity to always go outside of yourself and always learn things outside of the world. You have this in mind and you're thinking in straight lines. But as soon as you open your mind up to any opportunity, and you prepare. So you prepare for that. So the worst thing any unemployed person, I think, can do is to sit there and not prepare. What preparation looks like is different for everyone, right? But if you're sitting there and you're thinking, this is my best self, when that opportunity comes, I believe and trust that things will open up. And I also believe in timing. So we need to trust in the timing of things. In that moment, you may be unemployed, you may be a graduate, but you may also be the person who is going to take care of your family, change the story of your family. You may be the first graduate, but an unemployed one. You may be the one to build the business. You may be the one who is going to be my father, a taxi driver, and become a doctor, and you may be the one who then changes the story, and you may be you can be anyone, you know, and anything. And I think that we just need to trust and believe in the timing of things. But while we're doing that, we prepare like hell, you know.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, I echo Yolanda's, words here, beautifully said, Simi, because I think, everything that you said is just so important. And we've heard it, we've heard it all in different versions, but I think it's very true what you said. And I love what you said at the beginning, it starts and ends with self. If you have to have that faith in you and trust in God, trust in the universe that things will work out. I think Steve Harvey says, the way the universe works is that you ask for something and he mails it, God mails it, but doesn't say when it's going to arrive. But you have to remain on Faith Street, right? That's the timing. Because the minute you move and go to when is this coming? Oh, I don't know if it's coming or whatever, uncertainty, then the package arrives and you're not there to receive it. So whatever it is that you're asking for, you're hoping for, you have to remain in Faith Street. That's where the preparation takes place as well. What the preparation that you spoke about, you do the work and you remain in that state of, that it's going to arrive. It's going to come when it's meant to come. Because if it comes too early or, later, then it's not meant to be yours. So I'm going to go through the comment section. I really love also Thutha's comments, but I would like her to actually say it because I think it's very beautiful. It's not meant to be read by anybody else. Ayanda, says, I like how Simni puts it when she says socializing is an art, definitely. And networking is also an art. Yolanda also says, I think this is the question on the introvert. I seem extroverted from outside, but inside I'm an introvert and I struggle to go for that relationship building. So I think it's what you said, you have to also play to your strengths. There's moments where you have to be quiet and actually listen and tap into that introvertedness of yours. And then there's moments where you have to be extroverted. But the thing about being an introvert and extrovert is how you recharge. I think that's what people also forget. It's not always about how you interact out in society, but how you recharge as well. Lorette says self-awareness is key. Be grounded in who you are, play to your strengths, and be intentional about working on your weaknesses. That is her takeaway from this your comment. We have another question from Matsidiso. Matsidiso is a star student at Valour. She's always asking great questions. For a person who is a high performer in a specific area in life, how do you keep a work-life balance? Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay, so I don't believe in like work-life balance in the actual sense that you get everything right at every point in time. I think that you have moments in your life where different parts of your life grow and learn, rather grow and thrive, so at some points in your life you will you'll be a great person to your family, and you will be a great person at work, and you life happens at the same time. And I always say this to Tidi, things happen at the same time, so you constantly need to just be okay with that. I think there's value in learning, crying is as good as laughing, it happens all at the same time. So you need to find a way to always center yourself. For me, it will be reading or cycling or swimming or learning a new sport or spending time with myself, or challenging myself to do things that I don't do. Those things enable me or give me space to think and to create or be creative. So when I'm in the pool and I'm swimming, I have an hour or 30 minutes of the day where I'm doing absolutely nothing but thinking about that. But what that does is that suddenly I'm energized for work, and I'm energized to interact with people, because I've also given myself that quiet time. I sit and I've even said this to my TD. So I said to him, give yourself a dark day, a quiet day, close the windows, sit in your bed, don't go out, and especially as an introvert, you need that space to recharge, because I don't know a time when you're looking at your life and you're just like, hey, tick, 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 tick. Life is fabulous all the way through. I don't know, or I, at least in my lifetime, haven't experienced completely a time like that. There's points in my life where I look and I say, well, this is going well, this is going well, this is going well. But there's also an opportunity to work on everything, So TD, everything happens at the same time. I don't know if there is a balance. Whoever knows it, please do share. I'm open to it. But I think that as long as you give the best version of yourself and you also practice emotional intelligence, and I say this, because it's so important to also know where to put your feelings. Sometimes you go to work and you smile, hey, and there's nothing to smile about, especially when you work. We work with people, so you go and you smile and you show up. Sometimes you're having a tough day, you open up and you might find that the person next to you is also having a tough day, but they're still smiling. So you smile and you draw inspiration and strength from the people around you, whether it be your family, whether it be your circumstance, because sometimes things are so bad at home, absolutely, Yolanda, we can call it work-life effectiveness. So whether it be, it's tough at home and you need to smile at work. I draw a lot of my inspiration from my brother. He is in a wheelchair, he's here at home, but he smiles and laughs every single day. He is one of the most independent people I know, and he wakes up every day at the crack of dawn and is up. He's the first person up in the house. And I always think to myself, well, if he's smiling and laughing like that, what am I doing? So find the thing and draw inspiration from the things around you, from the circumstances around you. And I think from there on, the world becomes easier. And you also need to give yourself space to not be okay, because if you're not feeling well, you're not feeling well, and it's okay.
It's okay. Okay.
Yeah, but you need to work on yourself, get yourself out of that space of feeling bad, and just manage your spaces and show up and give it your best. And yeah, I think the rest has a way of working itself out.
Yeah, and be kind to yourself. Honestly, just be kind to yourself. Take it easy. I think that is one thing that for me is it's the one reminder I have to give myself all the time, to say, be kind to yourself. I have one of my favorite books, The 4 Agreements. And, one of the agreements is, always do your best, but your best is not always the same. So sometimes it's 100% and I'm feeling like, yay, I'm on top of the moon, and you will see bubbly Fifi and everything. And sometimes my best is 50%, because there's things going on in my life. But like you said, I put on that smile and I get the work done, and I come back and I do the things that help recharge me, so always do your best. Be kind to yourself, because honestly, if you're not kind to yourself, who else is going to be kind to you? We teach others how to treat us as well. So always be kind to yourself. I'm going to ask, okay, we're going to open up for people to, you can now unmute yourself. And if you want to make a comment, you can say a comment. I'm going to give it 5 minutes, and then we will then close off. I'm going to ask for this beautiful message from Thutha, who I know is one of, if you don't know Thutha, everybody who knows Thutha, I'm pretty sure looks up to her, because she's also one of those people I look up to. So Thutha, please, you can read out your beautiful message for us.
Thanks, Refilwe. Hi guys, morning. Hello, Simni. Sorry, I'm going to keep my camera off. Yeah, okay. Simni, I think, look, I think, for me, to be quite honest, I listened to your story, and I think, people that are actually listening, especially the young, people, there's so much that they can actually take away from the message that you've actually shared with us today. And I think it doesn't just go to even young people, it also goes to us. As your mentor, there's a lot that I learned from you personally, as much as, you feel that there's a lot that you're learning from me. But it's amazing how sometimes when you have mentees like yourself, you actually feel stretched as a leader as well. You get stretched outside of your comfort zone, and it's actually quite good because, I'm one to believe in, that multi-generational, I don't know what we call it, but the thing is, you get challenged every time because you can't remain in your own status quo or in believing that things, are the way you know them. There are people that will show you that things, can be done differently. So what I've actually written in my message is that, a clear vision backed by definite plans, gives you tremendous feeling of confidence and personal power. And it's basically a quote from Brian Tracy. And I think for me, the reason why I say that is that you've basically just demonstrated this through your vision. Your path, just in terms of where you are, in terms of your success, your networks. And what I like is your value system as well. There's so much that I've picked up as well just from today. In basically confirming the person that I know you are, but so much that I've actually confirmed for myself. And I'm glad that I actually got the time to listen to this. And I think also for me, it's just, I just got touched by, the drive that your dad, that you got or you drew up from your dad, the fact that you could actually see him reading a paper, but, from that paper, he was actually reading a textbook. People actually underestimate how, things as, you might think that it's something just very small, but it's such a big thing that obviously has made you the person that you are today. And also just the support that you draw from your siblings. I just want to say well done. And I think firsthand, I've really seen how you pay forward. Our say in Ubuntu, the hand that gives receives. And I just want to say that, God will keep, enriching you in this path. And I think for your mentees, those that you're mentoring, I'm sure they feel very, very honored that you are their mentor. And for us that I'm your mentors, we actually feel honored that we are mentoring you. So continue a path. I'm very proud of you. That's what I want to say.
Wow, thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank
You have
you.
such a nice boss. You're very lucky. You have such a nice boss.
Um,
Okay. Do we have anyone else who would like to say something? What has been your takeaway from this entire session? I want to hear from our valued students. What have you guys learned from this session? I see a comment here from Mary saying, well said, Simni. Work-life balance doesn't exist. It's about priorities, and these change at different times of one's life. Very true. It's important to rather be present in whatever you're doing at the moment in time than trying to balance, which can lead to less focus. Recharging is also important. Thank you so much for that comment, Mary, and very, very true. We can't, I was having a conversation this week on we were talking about women, and the whole conversation of can women have it all? And there's a quote from Michelle Obama saying, yes, we can have it all, just not at the same time. There has to be that you have to focus on something. And, for me, it's not a work-life balance, it's more of a rhythm. Because with the rhythm in a dance, there's a leg that leads and then there's somebody else that leads at one point. So it really is, just think of it as a rhythm as well. Asta, I don't know if your hand is up because you want to ask a question.
It is up. I wonder, how it's such a coincidence that actually both my cousin and I end up being Simni's mentors, because Mary is actually my cousin. So,
okay.
So clearly there must be a very strong connection there.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, I find that, people, it's all about energy, right? We gravitate towards, what you said earlier, Cindy, about seeing something and saying, there's something that I like in you and all of that. And even with us, right? We had our first chat and I was like, immediately going to Uncle Vic, like, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. I want to meet
and
her.
I went to Vic and I was like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love her film.
So it is about just also that energy. Do we have anyone who wants to add?
I think Khotso's got his hand up.
Khotso. Did you say Khotso has his hand up?
He did.
Oh, Khotso, do you want to say something?
Hi everybody. It was actually by mistake, but just to maybe a quick question to Simnikiwe. So being somebody who's in the boardroom as a young individual, how do you approach ensuring that you're being heard in the boardroom? Because I've met some of the young people who say it's actually quite difficult for people to consider their ideas or to actually implement what they bring to the table.
So I think the way to do it, or the most effective way to do it, is through being tactful. We often want to speak up or say something without actually reading the room and seeing where and how our value will be taken and added. So sometimes speaking up doesn't mean speaking up in front of 10 people. Sometimes it's speaking up to that one person who will make the change for you. At other times it does mean speaking up and putting it out there and saying, well, this is what I think, this is the idea that I want to share. And sometimes you're faced with a space or scenario where you're the different one, or you're the only Black person, you're the only young person, or you're the only female in that space. And I think the most important thing, or what I've learned, is just find a tactful way to do it and just find an effective way to do it. So it just read the room and see, well, where if I say this, how will it come across? Read the people around you, the people receiving the information, and also how can I actually add value in a way that is meaningful. And sometimes you actually just need to start making the change so that people can start to see the value in the change. Other times it means you must speak up. And most importantly for me, I think it's even taking in as much as possible and then creating a solution or an outcome for people so that they actually see the value that you can add in order for them to want to make that change. So I think it also, again, it's how you approach it. It's not always going to be, you scream and shout and everyone listens. It won't always work like that. But someone else might listen, or you might have to start moving and showing your work in a way that people take you seriously. And I think we also take that for granted as younger people. You can be given the tiniest task, but if you treat that task like it is the most important thing, and it is, like the be all and end all of what you're doing, it's like they say in a room, take minutes, but you take those minutes like to the T. You're developing a skill, you're getting information that you never did, but suddenly with that small task, you're able to contribute in your choose time. So we really, so to answer, I don't know if I've answered your question, but I think it's tact, reading the room, taking yourself seriously, and really seeing where you can add value. And also, please, we must learn to, I think something that we all struggle with as young people is receiving feedback. We don't like it, especially negative feedback. So if someone says, no, this won't work, look at it and then try see if there's another solution, but also trust that at that point in time, it might not, but there might be another opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Khotso, for that question. I'm going to ask my last question and then we end off. So we just came from the Valour Learn by Unlearning conference, which was really a great success. Thank you to all who joined and who managed to join. If you didn't, we will be putting it up under Valour on the go. So we will make those announcements once the conference is up for you to go and actually look back on it. But what would you say has been some of your biggest unlearnings? And I ask this because we do have young people here, and there's always a moment to learn, from others, their journey and everything. So what has been your moment of unlearning as you've navigated, throughout your career, especially like you'd say in your 20s, this period?
Okay, so I'm actually going to talk about an unlearning that I'm still unlearning. With all these, with going to school, with always being, going through school and, working and thinking in straight lines, you sort of lose your creativity to an extent, because you're just so focused in line, end. So I'm learning or unlearning, some of those things that I've learned in those spaces. I'm learning to think outside of myself. And I was actually saying to Vic, I think it was last week, Saturday, that to an extent, so school is great in that, it puts you in the room, it puts you forward. But I also think there's a world that's also unlocking, that we're not conscious of because we're only thinking about things in straight lines. So you do sometimes in this space that we're in need to be educated and to get that. But I think over and above that, we need to learn the things that come with that. Or the creativity that we can unlock using those skills. So that's the one thing that I'm still unlearning. I don't know the answer yet, or I don't know what it looks like. But it's something that I've just become aware of in the last 2 years of my life. I'm also learning to rest and to have fun. Have lots of fun, whatever fun looks like to you. So sometimes fun to me is sitting in my bed watching series. Sometimes fun is sitting and eating. I love food. I love making food. So it's sitting and eating and just relaxing. For other people, it's going out. It's different for everyone. But I think if we just go and to echo Mary's point, resting is important. We need to rest. We need to take time out, and also to be aware of ourselves. And yeah, that's the one thing I'm unlearning. And also to just be confident and believe that, I've got the best. I'm set up for the best, whatever that looks like. The world is rigged in my favor. I believe that in everything that I do. I trust and know that the world is rigged in my favor. Things will be like the best. I will get the best. I don't know how, but I will.
Well, that's such a great attitude to have. I mean, I think attitude is everything, and yours is right there with the best. So thank you so much, Simni, for taking the time to come and join us here at Celebrating Women. I think this is so fitting to for the month, for Youth Month, but also I think it's long overdue. We have been doing these since August last year, so it is long overdue to have you on our platform. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone at home who's been watching, everybody who's been watching on Facebook. Please make sure to connect. I know Simni would not mind this, but do connect with her on LinkedIn. And also as Valuate, follow us, our LinkedIn page, Instagram. We are on Facebook as well, and you're more than welcome to connect with me as well on LinkedIn, and follow on Instagram as well, so we can just continue with this discussion. And we will be back again in August for Women's Month. So follow us on our socials to see who the guest is going to be. We always bring the best of Valuate. That's what we do. So thank you everybody for joining us. I'm going to take it back to our vision officer, the founder, the great Mr. Vigalabana.
Thank you, Simni. Excellent. I can't add to anything. Thank you, Refill. All I did want to say was just that, as Refill was saying, we're running this every second month, but what we're now going to introduce is a Celebrating Women program, which will be spoken about pretty soon, and that will start in July. So we'll have that every second month, and every second month we'll have this event. And the program is designed specifically and only for women to run and engage in that one. So looking forward to that. Also want to say, very excited, tonight we launch Value Ed DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. is on tonight, and we've got a few students who are coming on board. Yeah, so we're now in Kenya, and now we're in the DRC. So that's exciting. And as usual, we ask for patrons. Please come. If you can sponsor a student, please say so. Donations, if you can, and as much as possible, sponsors as well. So talk to us if you can help in any way. We're trying to grow this and make it a very large value-add family community. And thank you for all of you, the hosts, the guests, and everybody who's participated and made value-add what it is, and all the patrons that are on here. Have a great weekend. Have a great Saturday. Be safe and take care.
Thank you for watching this ValueAdd on-the-go recorded live session. If you enjoyed this session and would like to learn more, please head through to valueadd.co.za/members. By becoming a member, you will be able to join our live and interactive sessions. This will allow you to ask the host questions, but also meet our other ValueAdd family members who are part of this course. You will get access to all of our on-the-go recorded live sessions, as well as our other ValueAdd sessions, including the Mogul Masterclass, Leadership Masterclass, and Career Discussion Academy. So, we hope that you decide to join the ValueAdd family by heading through to valueadd.co.za/members. Until then, we hope that you stay inspired to make better choices for tomorrow.